So Mandalorian episode 3 is now out, episode 3 The Sin. And once again, we pick up right where we left off in the last episode, where Mando got a ship all put back together and taken off into space. So we're approaching the planet, the same planet we've seen before that had the client and Greef Karga on it. So a little hologram pops up on his dashboard and it's Greef Karga telling Mando to take the quarry right to the client. And the whole time he's doing this, little baby Yoda, you see his hand reaching up at the dashboard, and he ends up taking a little ball like knob off of a lever and starts playing with it, and Mando takes it from him, puts it back on, and then picks Baby Yoda up and puts him back in his carrier. So we land on the planet. Mando's taking Baby Yoda to the client, so we're walking through the city, and so other ships are landing, and it's so funny because we get to see Baby Yoda's little ears just flapping in the wind as other ships are landing, so that just looked amazingly cute. So we arrive back at the client's hideout, and stormtroopers greet him, and so they're walking down a hallway to the client. One of the stormtroopers grabs onto the Yoda carrier pretty rough, and Mando says, "Hey, be careful," and the stormtrooper says, "No, you be careful." So we know stuff's not starting out too well. So Baby Yoda's delivered, and so the client and Dr. Pershing are there examining Yoda, make sure he's all healthy and everything. And Dr. Pershing starts to take Yoda away, and Mando starts questioning the client, like, how many fobs did you give out? Because, you know, obviously we saw him being attacked by the Trandoshan and IG-11, so we know multiple people have them. And client kind of responds that, you know, we needed this item, and so we are going to give out as many as we needed until we got it. So then he pulls up the container to pay Mando, and it is the ice cream maker, the Camtono from Wilbur Hood we saw in Empire Strikes Back. So the ice cream maker makes its return, and it's just a little storage container, and he pops it in and it opens up, and it has all the Beskar inside of it that he's paying to Mando. So at this point we see Dr. Pershing taking Yoda into a back room, and of course as he's going, Baby Yoda's just looking over at Mandalorian, has like this sad look on his face and making like whimper sounds like, "Don't let him take me." So we're starting to see that connection between the Baby Yoda and Mando. And so that causes Mando to question the client what they're going to do to Yoda, and Clone's like, "You're part of the guild, you're not supposed to ask questions, you just do as you're told, we pay you, and that's all. You don't get asked any questions." So Mando grabs his Beskar payment and takes it to all the other Mandalorians we saw in their hideout, and he takes it to the armor and asks her to make him a new full set of armor. And of course as he's doing this, all the other Mandalorians in the hideout are gathering around him to see the large amount of Beskar that he received. And of course we always have to have issues, so a heavy Mandalorian, which is a bigger beefy guy with a lot of like bluish color Mandalorian armor, comes up and starts causing issues, going off of how all this Beskar was taken during the Great Purge. This belongs to the Empire, you're working with the enemy that killed so many of us off and are putting us into hiding as we are. So that causes a fight between the heavy Mandalorian and Mando, so they start fighting around with each other, pull out their vibro blade, are slashing at each other and get ready to stab each other before they're stopped. So the armor gets them to stop, and so she says that she'll make a new set of armor for Mandalorian. She'll make him some whistling birds, which we find out here in a second what they are, and Mando asks that the rest of the metal be given to the foundlings, which are the little kids. And they end their whole conversation with the saying of, "This is the way." So it's kind of like their "May the Force be with you." So then we see the armor giving him the whistling birds, which are just little rockets that go into his gauntlets and stuff, so they just go into like a triangle looking shape onto his gauntlets. They're just a little bunch of tiny rockets. And then we get the armor crafting scene, and of course the whole time, just like the last time, we see his like flashbacks of when he was a child with his parents and then being attacked by droids. So we see the Separatist army, and you know, we see battle droids, and we see the droid gunships flying over, so we get to see why he doesn't like droids, as I mentioned in the first episode. And then the next scene we see him arriving at the cantina with Greef Karga, so he walks in with his all new shiny silver Mandalorian armor made of the Beskar. And so he approaches Karga and asks him how many fobs he gave out, and he says everyone in this establishment has one because it was such a high reward, we wanted to find it, and of course you were the one to do it, and so starts praising him. And Karga even shows that even he got paid with Beskar from the Empire for putting Mando on this job. And so we see him put the Beskar in his shirt, and Mando starts asking him for the next job, and he gives him this puck of a Mon Cal person that they're searching for, and kind of mentioned that he's somewhat like royalty or something. I can't remember the exact word, but it made me think it was maybe Admiral Akbar's nephew or some sort of relation to him, because I know he exists and we saw him in the Clone Wars dealing with Mandalore as well, so he could be, that could be the person, or it could just be some other random Mon Cal. And before he leaves, he asks Karga, what's the Empire going to do to the kid? And Karga says, you know, we're part of the guild, we don't ask, we just do our task, get paid and leave. But Karga does make a reference that, but if you're worried about it, you can go to the New Republic and let them know about it. So Mando's now in his Razor Crest and getting ready to leave, and he's sitting there and he sees the little ball knob that Yoda had taken off earlier, and he just keeps looking at it, and he ends up shutting the ship off and going back to get Baby Yoda. So Mando goes back to the client hideout, and as he's approaching, he sees a dumpster, and he sees the little baby carrier in the dumpster. So he goes up to the front door, knocks, the little eyeball gatekeeper droid comes out, he ends up ripping it off, that causes stormtroopers to come out, and while they're distracted, he goes around to the side and puts up a bomb onto a wall and blows a hole in it. So now he has a way into the hideout. Stormtroopers start approaching, of course he's already inside and hiding, so he sneak attacks them, and he's sneaking around through the hideout and everything, and he keeps jumping out and attacking people and killing them, until he eventually finds a room with Dr. Pershing in it, and Baby Yoda's like on a table with some sort of metal thing holding him down, and there's an interrogation droid floating over the top of him. So Mando shoots the interrogation droid, and Dr. Pershing just starts freaking out and begging. He's like, you know, don't kill him, don't kill him. So by that, he's trying to save the Baby Yoda. And he says, without me, he would be dead by now, so please don't hurt him. And so he starts cowering in the corner, hiding his face, and then when he opens his eyes again, Mando and Baby Yoda are now gone. So that is Mando wandering through the hideout again, continuing to kill off more stormtroopers, but he eventually gets surrounded by a whole bunch of them, and they tell him to put the kid down, and so he starts to, and he shoots off those whistling birds, so they've already come back into use, and they go flying around the room, killing all of the stormtroopers. So then we go back to the cantina, and we see all the fobs that all the people in the cantina have start beeping, so it's the Yoda fob, and so they can hear beeping and getting louder, and it goes to Greef Karga. He has this look on his face like he's got the baby. So then it shows Mando walking through the streets, and you start to see people coming around through alleys and stuff starting to surround him. And right at the exit of the street to get to a ship, Greef Karga ends up coming out and tells him to hand over the kid. And Mando questions, why would I trust you? And he throws out the classic line of, because I'm your only hope. So that starts our amazing scene of a shootout between the Mando and all these other bounty hunters, where Mando eventually jumps onto a little speeder, yells at the droid to drive, and so it starts driving through, and he's going around shooting all the bounty hunters surrounding him. But Greef Karga eventually shoots the droid, so it causes the little speeder to crash. And Mando is now pinned down, so he pulls out his long rifle and starts shooting guys, disintegrating them. And Greef even makes a comment that that's an impressive weapon because it's disintegrating people. So Mando's using his flamethrower and everything, just trying to get the people away from Baby Yoda. And he's starting to run out of ammo. And at that point, Baby Yoda's little eyes wake up, so he is now awake. And they're just kind of staring at each other, and you can tell by just the way it's looking that Mando's like, you know, this is the end, I've got to give you up. But then out of nowhere, all the Mandalorians come in, so all the Mandalorians from his hideout come flying in, so they're using their jetpacks and stuff, come flying in over the roofs, and they have all sorts of guns, and even the heavy Mandalorian is there, and he's got a big like railgun thing, he's sitting there shooting all the bounty hunters. So that allows Mando to escape, so he gets back to his ship, and of course as he's walking through, Greef Karga ends up coming down a ladder, and he's holding Mando at gunpoint. So Mando quickly activates the carbon freezer chamber, so it fills the area with smoke, and Greef starts shooting, and then Mando just ends up hitting him with one shot, and it sends Karga falling out of the ship. So Mando's starting to get his ship up and ready to go, and we get to see the fight scene one last time, so we get to see all the Mandalorians flying around all over the screen, shooting all the other bounty hunters. And as the ship's taking off, it goes back to Greef, and he wakes up, and he got shot in the Beskar, so he did not die, and he was saved by the Beskar, his payment, which he got from Mandalorian. So Mando pretty much spared his life. Now Mando and the ship are flying off into the sky, and we see a Mandalorian come flying up with his jetpack next to the ship, and he does a little salute to him and then takes off, which of course reminded me of the Rocketeer, because the Rocketeer, you know, flies around and always does the salute. And Mando even makes the comments that I need to get me one of those, referencing the jetpack. So I was wondering why he never had a jetpack in the first place. So now we kind of see, if he gets one later, where the idea came from. So back inside the ship, the little Baby Yoda, you see his hand coming up again, reaching for the ball. So Mando looks at him, reaches over, takes the ball off, and gives it to Baby Yoda. And then the ship jumps into hyperspace, and that's the end of our episode. So another great episode, episode 3, The Sin, was just really amazing. The whole shootout, the whole sneaking around in the client hideout. And of course, I don't know about you, but I knew he was always going to end up saving Baby Yoda. He wasn't going to let them do whatever was going to happen to him. You could tell that's just kind of way they were building up, and of course it paid off really well with him going back, you know, having a heart. And it's amazing how much like emotion and everything they can portray on just a faceless helmet. So you don't have, you know, any facial features, just a faceless helmet, but the way they do with the music and just the way the camera shots are, you really get the emotion of Mandalorian. And I love the way stuff paid off. So once again, we saw the whistling birds being made, and then they got paid off in the episode of what they do. We saw the Beskar, and we got to see Greef Karga putting it in a shirt, and that ended up coming back at the end to save him. So I love the way they introduced something towards the beginning and paid it off later, so the whole Chekhov's gun worked out really well in this. And again, just Baby Yoda is just so darn cute. It just makes me love it even more each episode, and I'm sure you feel about the same. So once again, another amazing episode. I've been forgetting to do ratings. I'd probably rate this episode probably like an 8 out of 10, which is still pretty high, because usually 9's like one of the best on my scale, and 10s are pretty much impossible. So very good episode, probably my favorite so far. But again, every episode has been so much fun, and I've rewatched every episode to do these videos, and I've never got bored with the rewatch, so it's really entertaining. So I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you do, let me know in the comments whether you like it or not. Just go ahead and let me know. And if you like this video, leave a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to our channel to see next week's episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.